I died. Gotcha!
Despierta.
Well, this will be a new one. I am a very big fan of comics, but I am also a very picky reader, which means that I will only stick to a story if it really grabs me or interests me in some way. A lot of the manga I really like isn't very long or ends prematurely. Basically, if I can finish you within a month or less, I consider you a very good comic. Not that there's anything wrong with long comics, it's just that, well, it's a bigger commitment. I read stories that are long, but that's because I was interested in the premise from the get-go. One day I'll cover a very long comic, but for now, I want to talk about a manga I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did. Gunsmith Cats. This review will only talk about the original Gunsmith Cats run, and not include Gunsmith Cats Burst, which is a sequel series made by the same author. Not for any particular reason, it's just that I haven't read it personally. Oh, I will also only partly cover the OVAs, since they are basically side stories that can be enjoyed without previous knowledge of the manga. I just think it'd be neat to talk about them briefly in this review. Plus, they let me put footage in the background, which is great because people have the attention span of termites. Alright, so, before we talk about Gunsmith Cats, I need to talk about the man behind the cats, since he is by far one of the most interesting things about this series. Gunsmith Cats was created by Kenichi Sonoda. Nicknamed Sonoyan, he first began as an artist on his teens in fanzines, which are basically just magazines made by fans. Go figure. And his art caught the attention of people in the animation industry. His first official job was with the company Artmech, an animation studio that went bankrupt in 1997, where he was a character designer for various projects by the company, like Golf Wars and Bubblegum Crisis. After he left Artmech in 91, he went on to try to make it as an indie comic artist where he would create Gunsmith Cats, his biggest creation by far and the one that would catapult him to stardom.
How did a Tokyo-based manga artist wind up writing about bounty hunters in Chicago?
Actually, it started with a single illustration. I had done an illustration of two women with guns, one tall, one tiny, for an aphthology of illustrations put out by a fanzine publisher friend. I had been thinking of starting up a new manga series, but when I went to pitch some ideas with my editors, they pounced on that illustration instead and said, "Why don't we flesh this idea out?" And that's how it all started. I chose Chicago in part because so many action manga have been set in New York already, but also because of the reputation Chicago has even all the way over in Japan. You know, the city of Al Capone, prolific gun battles, and tough cops.
It's very interesting to me that Gunsmith Cats wasn't planned from the start, but it was something that came from one of Sonoda's editors who basically went, "Girls pretty." So yeah, that was the story of how Gunsmith Cats came into being, and a little backstory on the man who made it, who, by the way, is an absolute gun and car nut, as you'll see right now. Gunsmith Cats is the story of two girls, Riley Vincent and Minnie May. Riley is a bounty hunter in the city of San Francisco, where she also owns a gun shop, Title Drop. The comic revolves around various jobs Riley takes to keep her business afloat. She gets info on any crook out on the streets, and she brings them to justice or kills them, with the promise of cash money. That's the formula Gunsmith Cats runs with. It's the equivalent of an action blockbuster since Sonoyan was a massive movie buff.
For the story itself, you can largely thank your own Hollywood action films. I've always really enjoyed American gun action movies, films like The French Connection, or even the comic side, The Blues Brothers. In fact, when I started Gunsmith Cats, I was way into the Blues Brothers, and had seen it a bunch of times. So that was a big influence.
Fun fact, I actually watched those movies to see how much Gunsmith Cats took from them, and yeah, it was quite a bit. So that's the overall plot summary, since I do want you to go out and read this comic. Though, I would be remiss to not mention that Gunsmith Cats deals with some rather heavy topics. There is the obvious violence and sex, but I should also mention that it delves into stuff like human trafficking and some sexual assault. Plus, there is just everything to do with the character of Minnie May. Oh boy. Look, what I'm trying to say is, if you're someone who is okay with some dark stuff in your media, you will have a good time. If that's a bit too much for you, then it's best if you get off now. Give me a like on your way out though, please? So hey, wanna see me do something I've never done before? So here's a fun fact about me. I am not an artist. I am able to look at something and determine if it looks good or bad, but when it comes to more technical terms, I am dead in the water. So I'll just say what I like about this series when it comes to how it looks. Sounds good? Alright. For starters, the way that characters look is fantastic. Given that the inception of this comic was drawing two pretty girls, you can bet your ass Sonoda can draw some fine women. Though it's not the only thing he's good at. All of the men have these exaggerated chins and broad shoulders, basically turning them into action figures, and I think that's great. Then you have stuff like cars and guns. See, this is what I meant by Sonoda being a car and gun nut. Look at how detailed all of these things are. God! Here's a little something I know about artists. Not a lot of them like drawing cars, which is why in a lot of shows you see 3D models being used instead of being drawn. But Sonoyan takes a look at that and goes, pathetic, and then draws some of the most action-packed races you've ever seen. It's honestly kind of amazing how dedicated he is to making sure everything is on model, especially the guns. Since Sonoda is Japanese, he doesn't really have access to firearms unlike you gringos, so he has to model the guns in his comic with replicas. Though reportedly, he doesn't really like doing that since he wants to emulate an actual gun, not a replica of a gun. As someone who has only held a firearm in my hands only a handful of times in my life, I could not tell the difference. And I'm pretty sure most people wouldn't be able to, unless they are those weird kids that are like COD and really want to join the military. But that just goes to show the level of detail Sonoda has for things like this. Hell, he'll even make Pepsi look appealing. As for stuff like paneling and whatnot, I'd say it's pretty good. It makes the action look fluid and energetic. It genuinely feels like you're watching an old action flick, and that can't go understated. So yeah, art looked good. How about we move on to something that's actually on my wheelhouse, like... Boy, this will be more complicated than I thought. Gunsmith Cats has a lot of interesting characters, but I'll mostly talk about the main duo and Bean. I will however mention that I like all of the villains in this comic. They all feel like they fit in a Van Damme movie. Look, you have woman with gun leg, man with harpoon arm, Satan, and terrorists. So who are the Gunsmith Cats? Well, let's start off with the main gal herself, the most American character ever made by a Japanese man, Riley Vincent. Riley is a gun fanatic and a laid-back kind of girl. That is, unless she's on the job, in which case she is all business and no nonsense. She taunts and jokes around, but when she puts her mind to it, no one escapes her sights and deadly aim. Also, I wasn't joking when I said that she's the most American character ever. She loves eating pizza and gets extremely excited when people break into her home because that means that she can shoot them and not be charged with murder. This woman is a freak. Marry me though. Now, you may look at Riley and see her as the perfect empowering female character. She can fight, she can handle herself, she's cool, and acts in a rather masculine way, disliking girly stuff. That to me is a gross misunderstanding as to why she is so empowering. See, I am a dude, which you can probably tell by the beard and the fact that I am stupid as hell. So whatever a woman finds empowering escapes me. However, I have noticed that there is this weirdly sexist way to determine a character's worth, especially in the anime community, where the value of a character is basically, can they beat Goku? Like, it's this toxic masculine view of, can you fight? Are you the strongest in your series? Are you hot? Etc, etc, etc. And to me, that is a fucking insult and disgrace to character discussion. Because a character's worth shouldn't be attached to something so frivolous as, can they fight? Riley to me exemplifies this to a T. She is a capable and strong woman, but She has her moments of doubt. She breaks down. She loses. She has hobbies that don't involve fighting. And she even has to get saved every once in a while. Honestly, if I were to write a strong female character, I'd absolutely take notes from Rally and how she acts in various scenarios. Okay, Minnie May. Let's go, you little bitch. You shot the bed, now lay on it. So, Minnie May Hopkins is Rally's housemate and best friend. She has a massive love for explosive armaments and is the most feminine and mischievous out of the duo. Also, she's just like the most fun and entertaining character to watch. She's very clearly a gremlin, and I love that about her. Honestly, she might be my favorite out of the two. She was a homeless child who was taken in by a terrorist who she caught feelings for. She took a drug that would make her look like she's a child so that her terrorist boyfriend would be into her, and after that terrorist went into hiding, she became a child prostitute and most of the horny moments in the comic involve her.
Danger!
Yep. Great thing to make my second review on. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that some of this stuff doesn't make me uncomfortable, because it does. Some of this is a bit fucked up to read. However, that's kind of the point. At many points in the comic, characters call out Minnie's relationship as messed up and creepy. Hell, it gets to a point that even she can deny how kind of bad her relationship looks to others. Which usually ends up with her lashing out and saying, I very much enjoy when media deals with uncomfortable and taboo topics that would make the average Twitter user disintegrate. And I think that this comic is probably up there when it comes to dealing with these subjects in a mature way that doesn't feel like it was done for shock value or because the creator is a sicko. No, más fuerte. There are some moments that definitely make me cock an eyebrow, but other than that, I love both Rally and Minnie. They are these deeply flawed and entertaining characters that carry this comic with ease, and every other character introduced can bounce off of them so easily. They are like Sam and Max, but not gay. Alright, so, a lot of girl power this time around. Surely would be anticlimactic if I talked about a dude in this girl-dominated series. Being Bandit. Okay, now to talk about the man who started it all. You see, you might have thought that Gunsmith cats came into existence as just that quick explanation I gave a few points ago. Well, joke's on you, fucker! I kept info away from you just like the government.
Ha! Got him!
Anyways, something I neglected to mention was that Sonoda actually tried to make his own original comic back in '89 called Riding Bean. Unfortunately, the comic run was cancelled a year into production. So Sonoda basically went, hey, let me copy your homework. Yeah, sure, just make sure nobody notices. And bam, new series. Originally, he wanted to use the main character from this series as a side character / occasional character in Gunsmith Cats. However, since the company that owned Riding Bean's rights at the time said no, he kinda worked on Gunsmith Cats regardless. That is, until the company lost the rights and he went, oh, well, okay then. And so he went ahead and inserted Bean into his new comic, which means that Bean gets to join the club of characters that outlived their original series. Quick side note, but reading Riding Bean is like taking a look at a different timeline where Gunsmith Cat does not exist. Like, Rally lives with Bean and their partners, and she's white? The role of Minnie May was given to this one girl with pink hair that has a more realistic relationship with her partner that is way older than her. Hell, Bean gets his own Koichi Senigata, which every series with a thief or criminal protagonist should have in my opinion, but whatever. So, enough preambles, who is Bean Bandit? Well, to put it simply, he's a getaway driver and a smuggler. He doesn't care what the job is. As long as you have the cash, it will be done. He's kind of the epitome of masculinity, and frankly, I feel he was also a bit of a self-insert for Sonoda since he shares a lot of interest with Bean, like cars and weaponry. Bean is the typical badass character you see in older media. He's tough, he's strong, he can shake off being shot in the chest and the head. He's kind of the whole package with a big package. Just don't insult his ride, or he will literally beat you up with his own car. Captain Falcon ain't got shit on being Rider. However, he isn't a brute or an uncaring jerk. It's been shown that he cares about those who he respects and even has a soft spot for kids, and hates when they are caught in the crossfire of the violent world he lives in. Sure, he can seem a bit sexist, but by God, he learns his lesson quick. Bean has a very devil-may-care personality, and I believe that's because Sonoda put a lot of himself on Bean, making him both a self-insert and a role model of sorts.
Riley's my heroine. She has to be really good at what she does. Riley's a tough case. She gets things done, and she holds things together. I like her. But at the same time, she's sort of intimidating. So in that sense, I guess I'm a little more fond of Minnie May. She's a great character to draw, lots of fun. And while she's strong-willed like Riley, she has her weaknesses. To be perfectly honest though, I feel more comfortable creating stories in the writing Bean world where I've got a leading man. No matter how much I like Riley and Minnie, it's hard for me, as a guy, to get inside their heads. Bean Bandit is a guy I can identify with much more personally. No matter how much they say Japanese women have gotten tougher in recent years, you don't meet many people like Riley and Minnie May in Japan, or anywhere else. They're a challenge.
So yeah, Bean is kind of the epitome of masculinity in the same way as Kazuma Kiryu or Black Dynamite are. And like those two, I think Bean is what masculinity should be measured by. Fuck these limp dick Patrick Batemans and chicken shit Homelanders. Fuck this internet spew of Sigma and alpha males bullshit! This is what peak masculinity looks like, people. Wake up! So yeah, Bean is a good character. He can be seen as a bit pessimistic, but the fact that someone like Riley can make him change his mind on certain things via earning his respect says a lot about him. Overall, great character. Would cosplay if I had that chin. Damn. So that's the biggest players in the manga done. Obviously there are some other characters that are pretty neat, like Becky and Misty, but I think that if you are installed on these three, you are installed on the whole comic. So, yeah. And now we reach the funny part of the video where I talk about the OVAs for a bit. So what do I think about them? Well, I think they're okay. Both Gunsmith Cats and Writing Bean had OVAs, and I think they do a good job advertising what this series is all about. Just be sure to watch the Japanese version because the English dub is kind of hot trash. It's a dub from the 90s. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much, but holy fuck. Here's some of my favorite moments from the OVAs in English.
Hey, there's nothing to eat here.
What do you mean, nothing to eat? I just went out and got dinner. Don't be such an ingrate. I'm working on the show dance pattern now. Want to go over it?
Sure.
Right.
You got a problem?
Oh, Kenny. Yes, again.
You gotta be kidding! Why do I have to work a lousy kidnapping case? What do you mean, why? Do you have any idea how much Grimwood pays in taxes?
Something's pretty vague, May, but since you got us into this, it's your problem.
Now, hold on! This was as much your idea as
Why,
my-
thanks! Hey, chill out, May. I wasn't serious.
Damn it, Riley! Give me back my pup! I'm not kidding! I'm getting angry!
May? Are you alright?
I'm not talking to you.
Ooh, just you wait, Roadbuster. I'll finish you off for sure. I'll run you over till your brains spill out.
You ready? Come on.
Jesus fuck. Okay, so before anyone says it, no, I'm not one of those sub is better than dub losers. I actually watch all of my anime in my native language of Spanish. But in this particular instance, nah, this was not it, fam. One of the things I kind of enjoyed from the OVAs was actually Bean's voice. I don't know, he doesn't have the gruff I would expect from this character, but it weirdly fits.
My man Percy, as I live and breathe. For 50 grand, we've got a deal.
You'll take it?
Cash in full, on arrival.
Okay.
Thank you. Brooke, rally, shoot!
Huh?
That's the truck I was talking about, the one from last night. Okay. Well, that was fun, Mr. Morris. Now, allow me to return the favor.
Bean, our little princess seems to have passed out again.
I like it quiet. Now I can settle down and collect that $2 million. With interest.
Interest?
Their lives.
All right, 1.1 million, 1.2 million. You've got nothing to gain by fighting any further.
Call me up anytime you need me. I'll give you a discount the next time around.
So that was nice. Is there anything left to say on this series before we leave? Well... Oh, hey look, an upgrade. In the year of 2017, Sonoda and a few other artists and animators decided to make a Kickstarter to make a new entry in the Gunsmith Cats / Writing Bean world. It managed to surpass this initial goal and gathered enough money to make 12 minutes of animation instead of the initial 5. Watching it, we can see it's a bit of a mixture between both Gunsmith Cats and Writing Bean. It's like they both merged together to make this odd mismatch, with us skipping the white rally from the Writing Bean world instead of the brown one from the Gunsmith Cats one. What did Sonoda meant by this? And Minnie May and Sally jumping ship and being a part of this world now. Though it is likely that it's more an alternate world where these two are not the same Sally and Minnie we know from Gunsmith Cats. Also, according to a post, apparently there are plans to make a whole Writing Bean show and movie. All I can really say is good luck with that. So how is this little proof of concept? Honestly, it's pretty great. Everyone, and I do mean everyone, got an upgrade in voice acting, for the most part. Which is good, but I will definitely miss this.
What do you mean, nothing to eat? I just went out and got dinner. Don't be such an ingrate.
Animation is looking great. However, the use of 3D models for the cars is a bit disappointing. Granted, I am a bit spoiled due to the original OVAs, but I get why it was done, so I won't harp too much on it. There could be a lot, and I do mean a lot, of things to be added to this section. Since in the Blu-ray given to the backers of the Kickstarter, they received a ton of footage of the making of this thing. Even commentary from Sonoda and the rest of the team. Holy shit, he has a face? So I definitely recommend you look into it if you want to get into the series and want to learn more about it. I know you probably were expecting me to go into more details about this bonkers series, but frankly, I think you should just read it yourself. It's a phenomenal read and something that you barely see nowadays, since there is no superpowers or magic or sci-fi. It's just people with guns and pretty cars. Frankly, if you aren't scared by this, I think you're gonna have a fun time. It's a series I highly recommend and one that I know will leave you thinking long after you put the book down. Unfortunately, Gunsmith Cats was kind of Sonoda's peak, and he never really made anything that reached the same level of popularity as it. I mean, I will say this, they definitely sound interesting. You have stuff like Canon God Exaction and, prepare yourself for the goofiest yet coolest name ever, Bullet the Wizard. Huh? I am definitely giving these a read when I get the chance. Holy hell, what are those names, man? Other than that, Sonoda just keeps it low-key and hasn't done much else other than some character design in some anime and a mahjong game? Okay, man. Whatever pays the bills, I guess. So, that was Gunsmith Cats. A very underground series, but with a ton of great things about it. Characters that you can easily enjoy, and a tone that is barely seen in the world of comics. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like. Share it with your friends, and tell me what you think in the comments. This has been The Analyzer, and... oh, Hey, a note.
Hello! I hope you've been enjoying yourself at my hotel so far. However, I noticed you've not been assigned a maid yet. Well, why not? I've sent one of my best just for you. Signed, Mimi. That's me.
Ah. Well, that kinda took the wind out of my sails. Also, a maid? What does she mean by that? Also, why does she keep having this weird, high-pitched voice in my head? I don't even think I've ever met this person.
Bien le bonjour, monsieur.
Ah! The French!